Welcome to the third episode of the Retail EngAIge Fireside Chat. For those joining in for the first time, the idea of this is to talk about the trends within retail and otherwise, and to keep it informal and conversational rather than a knowledge sharing kind of a webinar version of it. And since the idea is to keep it interactive, please feel free to use the chat to drop your questions and comments while we speak, and we'll pick them up along the way during the discussion. Today we have with us Kevin Boots, the head of engineering and delivery at Kmart Australia. So he's been with Kmart for more than 3 years, and overall in the tech space, he's been here more than 25 years. So we're here, we're excited to hear your thoughts on this topic. Allow me to introduce next Vikas Rathod, the Chief Technology Officer at RDEP, with over 20 plus years of experience himself in the tech domain, with a project and team management background. And my name is Sagar, and I handle customer success. So before we get started with the topic today, maybe Kevin, I'll hand the floor over to you if you'd like to maybe talk about Kmart and yourself and what Kmart has been doing.
Sure, thank you, Sagar. Welcome everyone. Good to see everyone's here. Just to give everyone a bit of an overview, I'm head of technology here for stores for both Kmart and Target. Kmart and Target are a retail chain operating over Australia and New Zealand. We have a wide range of products, including clothing, homewares, electronics, toys, and the like. We've grown to become one of the country's leading discount department stores, known for everyday low prices across the stores that we have. And the store layout and customer experience have been modernised in recent years to keep up with retail industry standards and customer expectations. Australian population, it's roughly off the top of my head, it's 27 million people. And I raise that because about 70% of everyone that lives within Australia and New Zealand live within 10 kilometres of a store, of a Kmart store or Target store. So really accessible to get to stores. We've got roughly 450 stores across the regions. Actually, we opened one today. I think there was a store, St Mary's in Sydney, opened a Kmart store today. So you might see that online somewhere as well. But yes, that's roughly, I suppose, yeah. And I'm responsible, my great team that is responsible for the technology within all these stores. And today we'll be talking about shrink and I suppose the challenges that we have within our stores and the high volume of inventory that goes through our stores.
Hi, everyone. I've been in the tech for past 20 years. Worked with some of the big MNCs and some of the products where the focus is on the customer relationships. With RDEP, I've been working for 4 years now, and have been taking care of the solution and the platform. Today we are touching probably a little sensitive topic, or probably a tricky topic. The reason being the customer and employees being very key drivers of any business, because they are the two wheels with which the business runs. And what we are talking about is pilferage, where these are the elements which play a significant role causing that problem. It is important to keep the morale and trust of employees and customers intact without affecting that part of the story. How do we solve this problem? That's what we are trying to discuss over here. So Kevin, probably the first question could be, how does the pilferage issue affect the staff morale or the employee trust? What do you think?
Yeah, so it's a big challenge because, coming to, I suppose, the economic pressures as well of customers and families. We're a very family-oriented store. It's really difficult at times because, our team members within stores at times do see, things going on in stores. We have a policy that, we don't try and stop. If there's confrontation, we put safety of our team members above all else. But I think it is difficult. It is hard. I think some of the stats that we do see is that with, I suppose theft from stores or shrinkage out of stores, it's a percentage of people, so it's a small percentage. I think the stats were like 20% to 80% of that within our stores. So it's being able to understand or just have a process that the team members or the stores can abide by to be safe and make sure that this we can limit it as much as possible.
Understood. And yeah, maybe what we can do is, what is, shrinkage in retail, right? What are the various causes of it? How does it happen? Who does it? Maybe we can talk about that.
Yeah, and I think as a, it's a global problem. It's
Yes.
not just with our store. It's every retail store.
Yeah.
I did pull some stats for you because I know we're looking at this worldwide. I think it's according to the National Retail Federation, they reported $142 billion of inventory losses. That was 2023.
Wow.
So it's a huge number, and that impacts retailers' bottom line as well. So it's difficult to solve, and that's why we're talking about this. But theft from stores, they're saying it accounts for about 65% of the shrinkage. I suppose what we're looking at for shrinkage in differing areas is, shoplifting is a standard one. Employee could happen as well across the industry. Administrative mistakes within inventory management. So we've been focusing on accurate inventory for a long time now, and we've got teams focusing on our inventory, and just knowing where the data is and knowing where our inventory is helps tremendously in being able to curtail, what we need to do or what we need to focus on. And then there's, potentially supplier issues there. There's damage and spoilage and return fraud as well. So, bringing all that together, that is, I suppose, the challenge that we've got to reduce or minimize that problem.
Yeah, I guess it's a balance to strike, I guess, between ensuring that you're getting a good solid control on shrinkage at the same time, the customer is not having to compromise on their experience. So whatever tech we're implementing or whatever solutions we're trying to come up with in the back end, in the front end, on the flows, needs to strike that balance. So could you talk to what your thought process is at Kmart and personally as well as to how you can strike this balance?
Yeah, so for me, I've got a lot of ideas. If you speak to, I suppose, my business partners, they're a bit more pragmatic about process within stores. And the business here, my stakeholders, Courtney Keeble and Chris Renshaw, and they're brilliant at their jobs and they run the stores really well. So it's that balance between process and team members and running the stores and technology. I was quite excited that Strawberry dropped, Strawberry 01, whatever they're calling that now. But it's for me, for the future, it is utilising computer vision. It's going to be utilising these technologies into the future to be able to analyse what's going on within stores, capture data. I think knowing the data is key to all of this. It's known that we lent into RFID within our stores, and just that uplift of knowing what's coming to stores. We can do an inventory count. We know exactly what's there. Has really helped. Being able to sort of know where the movement of the inventory is, and I suppose that's the first piece to it. But there's so many things we can do. I think, from my view, I'm looking at computer vision. I think that's going to be a piece that we need to utilise technology-wise, and then capturing data from that. But we've got a number of things that we have done with, obviously the standard security spider wrap type of things with gates at the doors. But we've also got an idea of potentially looking at how many items go. We've got dressing rooms as well. So, knowing how many items go into a dressing room is quite important, and having that data and having the technology around something like that can definitely curb some of these things that have happened. It's not uncommon to sort of have customers going put on items of clothing, putting on multiple, and then walking out with them. It does seem like leggings are one of these type of things, but just knowing the data, and that's where we are on our journey, is just sort of capturing the data and knowing what that is. And then it's around point of sale. So point of sale is obviously a big piece for bricks and mortar and retail, and just understanding what's been sold and what's potentially not. But we're using some computer vision over our point of sale. A lot of our customers use our self-checkouts as well. So that's probably another discussion involved with shrinkage here. Sometimes people are not familiar or not comfortable with self-checkout, so it makes it hard for certain people to utilize these machines or what we do there. So you're just understanding what they're doing at that self-checkout, and then as I said at the start as well, we've actually modified, I suppose, for customer experience, and having a point of sale or checkout area in the middle of our stores. So that helps with people walking around the stores and seeing more product and purchasing more, but it means that they're in store, and we trust our customers that they pay for it, they have a receipt, and we've implemented receipt scanning at the exit now because of some of the shrinkage. So we can actually just check. We can do some scanning. We can do some checks on those receipts of what they've purchased on the way out.
Yeah. I think that's key. I mean, I think what you mentioned is an important point. Is a combination of a few technologies. You're doing RFID, CV, and you're installing cameras at maybe checkout counters, and that's where POS as well comes into the picture. So effectively, I mean, if I have to maybe put it in a line, shrinkage is like the inventory you had plus the items you have not sold, right? So sales is like the normal route. That's where we've also been seeing these things, right? The ability to map a user to a transaction, like the store staff to the customer, and allowing them to discount, but having a report of that discount, capturing that data, saying that, okay, this product has been discounted for so and so, because shrinkage is theft, but also it is selling for a lower price or selling for a mispriced product. So that information all basically ties into a centralized system and helps make decision making better. Vikas, any other thoughts on the technologies that can be used for shrink control?
Yeah, so I think shrinkage and pilferage has the three components which are very crucial to understand or track this. One is definitely the customer. The second one is the employee, and third one is the product, because these are the key drivers for the shrinkage. So if we are able to, I wouldn't want to use the word monitor, but if we are able to log the activities with respect to these three entities. So if we have a mechanism where we have a way by which we are tracking customer activities in a store. Now, that doesn't mean that we are tracking the movement, but basically trying to understand where they're heading, or let's say they are at a specific counter. So that's one. The other one is employees. Employees, they move in and around to the warehouses, bring in some product, they do restocking. Let's say misplaced product, they keep it at the right places. So logging that information. So there's a mapping or association between the products and the customer and employees. If we are able to tie these three together during the whole journey of this process, I think we'll be able to solve this problem effectively, because these are the areas, if we tie them well, then solving this problem becomes, I wouldn't say easy, because there are privacy concerns, obviously, but I think these are the areas which should be tracked. And some of the solutions out there, yes, I agree, there are AI ML capabilities, data analytics capabilities, which can be used, but these are more of a predictive. These are based on probabilities. But something wherein we are able to track or monitor where the product is moving and who has last touched that product. If we have that kind of active tracking of the information, I think we'll be able to solve that. And some of the technologies, for example, let's say active RFIDs or Bluetooth. So we are also doing some R&D on the Bluetooth, where we can in real time know where the product is, where the which employee or customer has touched a given product, how the product has moved from one place to other place. This not just only helps in the shrinkage, but it also saves a lot of time for the employees to, let's say, restocking or tracking the inventory, because the system or the automation is telling us all the time where the things are. So I think that also helps in different ways if we have this kind of mechanism where the active logging and tracking of these three elements are done.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think knowing, again, it's data, isn't it? Just being able to understand in the data, and I suppose the other part of, what the concern that I have within stores is maybe the mindset of the customer as well. So, as I said, the majority of customers do the right thing. They do the right thing.
Yeah.
There might be opportune, type of views, but I think there's a piece, and I spoke to, I think it was Walmart, talking about loyalty systems, loyalty within, customers, just getting that loyal customer in and having loyalty within there. It's easier to trust, or they do the right thing. The customers of those state, and then you don't need the technology around all of that for those loyal customers, because they're doing the right thing. It's that just small percentage that we do need to track the inventory or track the products or know exactly what's going on there. That is the challenge, I think, because it's the balance between making it a good, fun experience within our stores, and just having that friction to the people not doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do have, I think, in continuation to Vikas's point, I think there's a question in the chat. Maybe you can pick it up from Aditya. It says, CV is the leading technology currently used, but can we use Bluetooth as well? So I think, Kevin, we had spoken about, touched upon this a little when we had met, about implementing Bluetooth at Kmart between RDEP and Kmart in the store, maybe for a particular category. But how do you see Bluetooth as a technology emerging to kind of, or it's already been there, emerging in the context of other technologies?
Are we saying Bluetooth tagging on items? Is that what we're asking here? Because it really comes down to these items or these products need to be tagged. We tag from supplier through our supply chain. It really needs the global suppliers to be able to tag with either RFID or Bluetooth, or for something to be viable for companies to go forward with. If you're tagging all the products going through, we've got hundreds of thousands of items that come through. There's obviously a cost to that. So if the sooner that we can get more suppliers to just tag everything through their process, the better we're going to be, and the more that you'll see on visibility of inventory all the way through, from supply chain all the way to store, and even out and back again for refunds as well. So
yeah, I think that's maybe another common area of shrinkage, right, which is returns, fraudulent returns. And now I think with most of retailers going omni-channel, they have an online presence. They want to allow their customers to buy in the store, return online, or buy online and return in the store. So basically, that itself presents another challenge, which is how do you kind of give this again convenience to customers, at the same time keep a check on fraudulent returns. Especially you see it in online, when you buy it online and try to return it in the store.
Yes, definitely. So that's definitely a focus point for us as well. So we have our returns or our service desk registered within the store, a bit like our point of sale. So at times we need to just correlate, what the customer is walking in with the items and what they're returning at the time, and we just need to correlate that with exactly the receipt and what's there as well. So yeah, there's definitely challenges about returns, and I know there's a big focus on potentially automating returns as well. So we need to get to a point where we've got technology that we can easily do returns and maybe automate that process going forward. But again, it's the balance between being able to do it, the ease of customer journey, and the fraudulent behavior or potentially the shrinkage implications.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you want to answer, you could, what's the shrinkage percentage, at Kmart, for example, right? Like what kind of a,
Yep.
if you like.
It's from my business stakeholder, a lot higher than what you would like at the moment. So yeah, this is where we need to focus on, but it's not an easy solvable problem. We know we've got a percentage across, the whole area. We don't know exactly where and which areas and what it is. We're getting more of an idea now, tracking and doing some of the data analysis, but there's no quick fix for everything. We're focusing on areas. We're focusing on technology to help us. There's at POS, there's potentially, that's where we put the computer vision over POS, because sometimes they do what's called as a product switch, or they might have a different barcode as they scan, but it's a different item. So we're doing a bit of product, recognition, a piece doesn't look like that, so the system holds them up. We've also got weight scales within our self-checkouts as well, so that definitely helps. So all of these things coming together is obviously a way of reducing, but we want to get better and better. I'd love to be able to do cameras all the way through our stores, but our box is quite big. We've got 5,000 square meter sort of type of stores, and to have cameras everywhere is quite limiting in cost and being able to manage all of that as well. So I'm sure it'll get there into the future, but at the moment we're sort of pinpointing areas and choke points of what we can manage and what we can handle.
Got it. Yeah, and I think what you said presents another challenge in and of itself, right? Which is there's a lot of different teams or departments or functions involved in this whole process, right? There's the store operations team, there's the IT or the tech team, there's people coming in with solution providers, and various teams that are involved, marketing, visual merchandising. So how that itself would present like a challenge in itself, isn't it? But like must be overcome because
definitely. Yes. So up the sort of chain as well. So my team, we're focused on stores. We're focused on what's in store, and having the count of items within the boxes through our decant process. Is it accurate? Is the numbers incorrect at that point, before we actually get it out to stores? We put it into the front of house, and that's our process. And then if we don't have enough room, we put it into the back of house. As you say, and that's what I was sort of saying with employees, maybe we've put it into the back of house and maybe we don't know where it is or what's happened with it. It's not really shrinkage at the time, but it might be just a process of not getting it back out to the front of house fast enough to sell. As you can imagine, we turn over quite quickly, and going into peak trade now, it speeds up coming up to Christmas. But
yes.
yeah, it's all of these things and all of these little nuances and progress and data capture that we want to focus on, and I want to get the technology so we can follow it at least within stores. And then you're right, then logistically, supply chain, the DC, all of that would be great as well. But
yeah, yeah. There's a couple of questions in the chat. Maybe we can take them one at a time. Hello, everyone. Great session. Is Kmart incorporating AI or machine learning algorithms to predict theft or identify shrinkage trends? If so, how are these models improving your loss prevention efforts?
very good question. So yeah, so we have a data lake, and we have information going to that. We have models on that, on what area, what's happened, what areas. We've done a couple of pinpointing exercises for types of things that have happened in the past, and we've been able to predict a location or type of things that are happening, and we've got been able to apprehend certain people from the past from that information that we've captured. And that's where we want to get to. We want to have enough information that, we want to get these people that are coming in. It's only a small percentage of, but they're doing it over, and they might have a bit of a number of people doing it as well. So we want to pinpoint, we want to make sure that we know the data and we can actually catch them in the act.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. In fact, I had another question on that. So again, prevention tech, shrinkage prevention tech, how do you strike a balance between what is visible to the customer that, we are looking like a CCTV camera is like, you're being monitored. So that itself, helps you to not, commit acts of theft. But how important is it to have it not hidden have it hidden as well, is what I'm asking. That people don't know where the tech is, so they're not able to predict how to plan around it and all of that. So what weightage would you give to visible versus invisible tech in the stores?
Yeah, and I think that's a balance as well. Like, I think, everyone this day and age knows that, there are CCTV, there are cameras, there are things there. I suppose what we focus on is the classic, people putting items within other items, and then sort of hiding them within items and just purchasing that containing item or that box with other things in them. So to be able to pinpoint and know the areas of potentially where customers could do that or what's there is really good data as well. And then we can focus on an area. As I said, we've got a fairly big and sparse sort of store, and we can't monitor it all at this stage. But if we can sort of see that, the system can sort of look at, there's a bit of behavior here that might trigger an alert or something through the system. We could potentially either put a camera there or get a team member to go out there and just check to see what is going on at that area.
Right. Got the next question from Michael Smith. Are there any technologies that you have seen which have been most effective at reducing shrinkage associated with self-checkout systems?
So I think it is that that modeling on recognition of what they do at checkout, so self-checkout. So there's a lot of computer vision that says, they're doing this motion, this movement, and they haven't actually scanned at that time. So there's definitely a view on that, and there's a lot of different, I suppose, software out there to do those type of things. As I said, there's product switch as well, but there's also product recognition, and we're training a couple of our models or data to understand what products look like. Love to get that to a point where any computer or cameras that we put around our stores can recognize, even from the box or the pictures, of what these items are, and then actually associate it with, our either an APN or type of things as well, because the barcode's not always visible, and that's why we're sort of going with RFID. So you can do a bit of a scan and you can associate individual identification of items, rather than key code level of items and what's there.
Before I go to the next question, because you have anything to?
Yeah, the self-checkout, I think the devices differ. I think the one which Kevin is talking about is more of that big machine where customers scan and add product to this stuff. Then there is this other one wherein we provide the mobile self-checkout solution. Now that's also a little tricky. I think, however, it could help. However, it could help in a certain way. For example, I'll go back to the Bluetooth part again, because that is where we are able to map the customer to a product. Because if both of them have the Bluetooth tied together, then we know that this person is scanning this product. And when we are looking at the exit, when the billing or payment is happening, or the exit door, we are effectively able to map whether the products that are there in the cart are associated with whatever customer has already paid for, because we know exactly what products are there in the cart or in the basket at the moment and who the customer is. And that is another way of solving that problem.
I think that's a good point as well, because there is a view of stopping customers if they haven't paid for it. So there is that real challenge between have they paid for what they've got or not. One of the big supermarket chains here in Australia have actually implemented gates sort of thing. So they're using cameras to sort of understand if the customer has paid for their shopping and the gates will open. Don't know how successful it's been, but it definitely does give that impression that you need to do the right thing because the system's watching you and doing you. So with being able to get out, so you walk in, gates shut, and then you have to pay for. You go through the self checkout, and then it recognizes, and you can leave the store.
Each customer has to show their receipt before exiting the store. Is that what you're saying?
It's not a receipt view. It's
Okay.
basically the computer vision. So I don't know, what level it marries it up with. Actually, you've just gone to a checkout, so yes, you've done that, or you've walked through the area without going to a checkout and you're trying to walk out. And I suppose the computer vision is looking to see if you've got items as well. So, all of these type of things I see, other retailers or other areas doing, and it's all around this problem. So, it is something that we talk about and we discuss. We have a very open sort of entrance to our stores, and we sort of want to lean on to customer experience a bit more than maybe gates, but depending on I suppose how this goes, we'll have to work out a solution or a way to curb, I suppose, the increase of what's going on.
Yeah. Customers walking. In fact, that is a good segue probably into the next question from the chat. Do you think just walkout is the best possible solution for handling pilferage? How do you balance the cost to give better convenience? And is this even feasible for larger stores?
Very good question. So this is something that I believe will happen. It will happen into the future. You'll be able to just go in, pick up. It'll recognize you. Obviously, you need to give your account or identity. It'll know who you are. It'll know what you're picking up. It'll just charge you. You pick it up and you walk out. You try it on. You do something. Surely that is the future. When that future is, who knows? But as I said, looking at I suppose some of these large language models, and if anyone hasn't had a look at Strawberry or played with Strawberry yet, have a look at it. It's very impressive. It's very impressive of what it can do now. And really, what's that? It's only a few years that really that technology has been out. So 5 years, it's going to be a whole different world, I believe, in what we're doing with data. And that's why I think capturing the data for me is most important. As soon as we've got the data and we can have it, then we can put it into these models. We can use the computer vision, or we can use these type of data extractions, be it RFID or Bluetooth. And from there, I think the future is that, just walk out should be a thing of the future.
Yeah. I think that's a valid point. Only once you have all the data, then you can pick which technology you need to use? Because I'm sure, Kmart is a particular type of retailer, but there are different retailers in different segments, people who are selling maybe just footwear, people selling just apparel. For them, the challenges might be slightly different. So for each, the solution may be different, but they can only decide on that once they have all the data captured for what's happening in their stores. Yeah, yeah. We have a question from Willow Harper. I also had this AI question. Are some of the risks or limitations of relying on AI for loss prevention in retail? Not sure if it's trustworthy.
So, sorry, just repeat that again. What's?
Are some of the risks or limitations of relying on AI for loss prevention in retail? Not sure if they're trustworthy. I think.
Oh, okay. Relying on the AI models and what's there. Yeah. That's you can
again, it's a balance, right? I don't think you can remove people from the process. You can minimize their level of interaction.
AI is getting better and better. As I said, AI is getting better and better. It'll make mistakes. Our team members make mistakes as well. That there are, there's a view of suspicious behavior. I might just follow or do something here or ask and might upset a customer because they're not doing anything. Or I suppose you're right. We can't fully rely on these things. So just walk out with charging, or doing the transactional process. We need to get that right before we implement that across. We can't announce that it's just walk out and then it only picks up 50% of the product. So no, that won't happen. But yeah, I think again, it's capturing the data and then we can assess the data and then be comfortable with how close that data is to what we're doing before we actually fully implement these type of things.
Yeah. And I think with just walk out as well, right? I mean, from the previous question, and even with this one, with AI coming in, I think it requires a complete overhaul of the entire store structure in terms of infrastructure, hardware, shelves, counters, and all of that. And currently, I'm not sure if the costs may justify the benefit that you're getting, especially maybe, say a low cost retailer like Kmart, for them to maybe have to, redo their entire store for, XYZ reasons. Not sure if today it's affordable for most retailers. I think even the examples we've seen with Amazon Go are very restricted, contained, small grocery shops where they're trying to implement this technology. But for a large store, not sure how effective that is. And do you think even the size of the store matters? Obviously, the implementation costs are really high now. But as you said, 5 years down the line, you never know what the cost will be. It will be rolled out at a more mass scale. But what do you think?
I think that's a very valid point as well. Like I've seen Walmarts with the perspex on areas. Obviously, that's going to add to a team member having to come out to open these type of things. And I suppose it is that balance of what's going on. There was another, I can't remember the actual store or company, but they were talking about you go into the store, you look at items, you pick them up, you play with them, and you put them down. You actually don't take them, and then you just have a list, and it actually comes out to the checkout and the items. I don't know how it gets there, but it's not the actual customer doing that work. It's actually done a different way, and that's to limit these type of issues as well. So I think it's a number of limitations and sizing and speed, customer experience. It's all of this balance that is the challenge here, because we want it all, and we don't want any shrinkage. So that's the challenge.
Yeah. The next question is, I think, addressed to Vikas. Hey, Vikas, thanks for sharing light on mobile self-checkout. What verification methods are in place to ensure that customers scan all items correctly when using mobile app self-checkout? Are there any innovative ways such as barcode validation, item recognition to reduce errors? And there's a follow-on question as well. Any post-checkout validation methods such as digital receipts back-checking to confirm that all scanned items are paid for?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So we just talked about how we can map a customer self-checkout device or the mobile with the products. And for this solution to be effective, it's very important that these two things are talking to each other. If they are not, then obviously there is a possibility of a shrinkage. So Bluetooth probably is one good example or solution for that. The other solution that we have right now, it doesn't use the Bluetooth. However, we do have a self-checkout application. So how we do it is, customers buy product, they scan through the camera, and probably the next level of check that we could introduce is right now they're scanning the barcode, but we can additionally add a capability to recognize the product as well. Though we are scanning the barcode, it can recognize the product as well. That way, any barcode related fraud can be avoided. So that's one way by which we are scanning the product, adding to the cart, and when we are exiting, so there is another solution or app which is sitting on the security guard if you want to do that kind of verification. So what it'll do is it'll just scan the digital receipt QR code that customer is carrying, because it's all digital. We are not issuing any physical receipts. And then after scanning that QR code, the security guy will have all the items that they have purchased. Now the security guard can just pick one or two sample items, and just to see if everything is, not everything, but whatever check he wants to perform, that can be done, and the item can be validated if it's been paid for. Now it's up to security guard whether he wants to try and check all the products or some of them, and it is a call that the security personnel can take. So yeah, there are pros and cons. There are ways to implement it. Some of them are foolproof, has a little more cost associated with. Some of them are a little more manual. However, it gives a way to tie things together in what has been purchased and what is there in the cart.
Yeah. I think that's one of the ways of doing it, which is through the smart receipt that we have. Obviously, for the customer, that smart receipt itself becomes a dashboard. They don't lose it. They don't have to throw it. So curbing paper waste and things like that. But at the same time, it also helps the store not only interact with the customer, but also use it in a way to check pilferage. In fact, we had implemented this with one of the, again, leading discount retailers here in India, where they were using the smart receipt along with the verifier app that Vikas is referring to. And basically what that does is it gives you those color coded responses that says that, this item does not belong to this receipt. And then you can maybe check. So you can do a spot check. So if a customer is carrying 7 to 10 items, you check 2 or 3 at random, and maybe you're able to catch. So we did see a lot of failed verifications, which we think may have been attempts at fraud, which were able to be curbed just because of the spot check at the end of the shopping. So yeah, through mobile self-checkout, yes, there is no system, but at the same time, it's also less daunting, right? I mean, approaching a kiosk, is not the most comfortable experience for most people. It may feel like I am my own cashier. Whereas if you give it on a mobile phone, it's basically giving an experience of online shopping to the customer, because they're comfortable today shopping on their own mobile phone. They're scanning products around the store, they're seeing the price, they're seeing the discounts, paying for it, walking out, and there is a mechanism where you check the receipt, validate, verify, and then allow the customer to kind of walk out or not walk out, depending on what the verification throws up.
And I think there's a piece around that as well. Like, you don't want security or someone checking everyone. It'd be nice to have a technology, it's not gates. I don't know what it is, but something that if we can scan and say these items have been sold, it's fine. But if you're carrying through something that hasn't been, and maybe it is the Bluetooth, maybe we can write to RFID chips as well. And as you purchase them, you individually write to them to say, yes, it's been purchased or it's been paid for. So when you walk through, it's fine. It's just when you haven't, don't know, gates, alarms, something happens, and we stop these people, because that's a big part as well. Like, as I said earlier as well, the safety of our team members, or even security, is at the top of our list as well. So at times it's really difficult. They're not going to go running out in the street chasing people these days. So it's just another way or a mechanism to be able to stop that or prevent it.
And it doesn't stop there. The digital receipt is a way by which you can extend some of the capabilities. For example, let's say refund frauds are quite often common. So if you want to do, or if customer wants to do a refund, they don't have to look out or search for the receipts, which they would have gotten from the store. So just open the digital receipt, wherever it is, and initiate a refund over there, right there. So it serves two problems. One is they don't have to, they can save some additional activity that they have to carry out at the counter, because they initiated the refund right at their home from that receipt, and that information is logged into the system. So when the customer comes in, it's already there. The digital receipt says that, okay, this is for refund, this is the product. So we know for sure that there is something which customer has bought. This is the product that they have purchased, and the refund is happening. So that there is this seamless flow to avoid the refund frauds as well.
Yeah, because I mean, I think to Kevin's point, most of the people are not shoplifting, right? It's a small percentage. The percentage of shoplifting they're doing may be big, but you cannot inconvenience maybe the 95% for the 5% who are doing it, because that will lead to customer churn, that will lead to people having unpleasant experiences. Some kind of an honest misunderstanding can lead to a loss of customers. So it has to be very smartly implemented with different hardware, different technology, different software, kind of coming in and playing a subtle role, keeping that focus of customer experience, right? We don't want to reduce shrinkage at the cost of losing customers. Then the top line and bottom line both start dropping. Then there's no point preventing shrinkage.
That's right, and that's the balance, isn't it? That's really the balance. So I think there's a lot to talk about or talk to loyalty with this. Like I think everyone's open to loyalty, and you get good benefits coming out. So we've got a super weekend if anyone's one pass coming started already. But there's loyalty, and you want new customers as well. So I'm not saying that you have to check in once you walk in the store to say I am a loyalty customer, but you definitely don't want the people that are that minority that may be doing the wrong thing. So to prevent them from coming into the stores, then maybe that is something that the business would prefer. But how do we know? How do we know? We're focusing on inventory and product, but there is a view of I suppose the customer as well, and being able to capture that data as well.
Yeah, I think one of the use cases you had mentioned when we met, right, as an anecdote of how shrinkage happens, is a customer walks into the store empty-handed, picks up a product, walks over to the returns counter, and tries to do that operation.
That's
so,
right.
Like, how do you that? So I mean, in these cases, maybe things like CV can come into the picture, which says that hey, this customer walked in with nothing in their hand, and now there's a return happening by this customer. Where did they get the product? Right, those kind of things do help, but again, CV is limited by vision, right? I mean, it's only as much as you can see, more than anything else. That's why I guess it's like you said, marrying different solutions and helping them kind of work together.
Yeah, that's right. And I think it's identification of actual items as well. So, with our EPCs, we've got EPC data now for our RFIDs. We know exactly which item. It's a unique identification. We can correlate this white T-shirt to this purchase. And that's powerful data to have. Then we know exactly if they've tried to swap something or do something with this, it doesn't line up. Why you're trying to refund or do something from this purchase from this item.
Right. So you're talking about identifying each unique piece rather than an SKU is what you're talking about, right?
100%.
Because there can be 10 quantity, each quantity being able to kind of recognize that.
That's right.
Yeah. And there's another question from Ava Marsh. Thanks everyone for the wonderful session. Would love to know what are the challenges of managing shrinkage in an omni-channel retail environment. I think we touched upon this, but you can maybe elaborate. Where mobile checkout, traditional POS, and online shopping intersect. I own a small bakery shop that we are thinking of taking online too.
Yeah, very good. I think there is a convergence of omni-channel being e-commerce and physical stores. I think they're different use cases, though. I don't believe from the customers or the data that I've seen that customers walk into store and then purchase online. It'll be the opposite. They'll be at home, they'll look at things, and then they'll go into store, or they'll purchase and want to pick up in store. Or, you know, maybe an item's not there and they're at the store and they're like, oh, well, I just want it delivered at home, or these type of things. I think there's definitely intersection, and I think loyalty comes into play here again, because if you've got an account, you might have a way of just knowing what items that you're purchasing or want to purchase. In regards to shrinkage, it really comes down to refunds for onlines and what we see there. So, you know, I know other parts of the world. I was in Germany not that long ago, and there's a lot of logistics which I think they do free returns. So, you know, I think that the process was there. They purchase items online, but they'll get a couple of sizes. They'll try in the right size, and then they'll just return them. A bit different here in Australia. Logistics definitely it does cost, and it's not the same. But still, it's around what we do for refunds, how we manage that, and what we do in that process going forward.
So maybe actually,
I think
yeah.
Yeah, I think we just got 5 more minutes, but I'll just add one point here. So these different channel of transactions or sales, they have to talk to each other. The moment they are independent, if we are using different systems for each of these channels, that's where the problem comes. And like Kevin and Sagar have been telling, data is the key. And the important part here is tying off that data with one another. So once the systems are talking to each other, all 3 channels may be offline, online. So if they are talking to each other and the data sharing is happening, and we know that the sale that has happened online and the return that is coming in, where customer is walking in and coming in, bringing that product back. So if we are able to tie them together, that's when we will be able to reduce the shrinkage. So I think the bottom line here, I think we have been hearing, the data is the key, and empowering the retail with the data using different modes or different technologies. I think that's going to be the key, and those systems should be able to talk to each other. It's not having them independent will not solve the problem. So all of the system talking to each other, sharing the data, and giving that analytics or the information for retailers to make the decision. I think that's probably the best way to handle this shrinkage issue.
Yeah. So not just your business being omni-channel, but also your technology being omni-channel, so to speak. And maybe I had a few, maybe, won't call them rapid fire questions, but, interesting to hear, maybe some fun questions, What's the weirdest or the most bizarre case of shrinkage that you've heard, either at your stores or at someone else's stores?
Okay, I can tell you there was one case. I'll give you one case that a person had some items, and then went, and the store greeter there was up. Show me your receipt. Okay, go to scan the receipt. The person pulls out. It was a KFC receipt, and they were pretending that was the receipt. And they just wanted to walk out with that. And the store greeters, no, that's not from Kmart here. That's not the receipt. So I think the customer, I think there's probably a number of different things. Actually, there's probably everything that has happened, that can happen, has happened. So customers will do anything to try and potentially circumvent. As I said, it's only a small percentage but it's still, they will find, ways. They'll circumvent anything we put in. We'll stop for a while, an area or a process, and then there'll be another flow around. So it's really just managing as we go. But holistically, again, I think this is what we're saying. It's the data, being able to have the technology to track the data and see the data and do analysis of that data is key to all of this.
Yeah. And for this person to think that this will work, I'm sure it has worked somewhere else, right? That's why they're kind of coming up with this. And that itself is like an input as to where the checks need to be, walking off with, maybe a swing by showing a KFC receipt is like that is truly
that's right. And I think retailers around the world, there is a process, probably in the past you hadn't shown your receipt because you've gone through an area, and then it was a process of, have you got a receipt? Yes. And now we're actually using small portable devices to scan the receipt, so we can, make sure that it's valid and it's not an old receipt, or it's not something else. And it'd be really nice to be able to, as I said before, tie up the actual items, if we can uniquely identify each one off the receipt and what they've got as well. So
I think we're good, unless either of you want to add any other points to conclude. Kevin?
No, I'd like to thank you. Thank you, Sagar. Thank you, Vikas, for today. It was a good conversation. I know it's a big problem, it's a big challenge. I've been talking to a lot of different retailers and a lot of technology companies and a lot of vendors. Of everyone has this on their list. It's a big retail problem around the world. But I think the more technology we can get in here, the better it's going to be. But it's something that needs to be solved. It needs to be a process and the more that we can talk about it, the closer we will to limit the problem.
Great. Yeah, thank you so much, Kevin. It was great having this discussion, opening up about all the things that you're doing at Kmart, the things that you have in mind to implement in the future. And it's been great. I think this 1 hour felt quite short. We should do more on this. This topic probably deserves more hours. But yeah, I mean, let's tackle it 1 hour at a time. So yeah, thank you for joining, Kevin. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you very much.
To you and to Vikas and to everyone who's listening in. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Okay, have a good day. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye.